This scene is just so hilarious that, you know what? Play the clip. Play the clip. The clip's gotta be played.
I heard your porn addiction is strong. Let me find it.
So, I think that basically, like, explains everything that we need to know about this scene. Like, Utena is just so infatuated with these magazines and just messing with the magical girls and fantasizing and all that, that she is legitimately failing class. Like, we actually just straight up see her getting just a bunch of zeros all over her tests. Because she's reading too many dirty magazines. She is focusing too much on the magical girls. It is honestly just hilarious. Like, everything considered, it makes a lot of sense that, because of her character and what we've been seeing from her from, these past few episodes, it makes sense that her school life would take a tumble because she's just so focused on battling the magical girls. Great. It's a really great sequence that honestly just made me laugh more than it probably should have. But as soon as I saw that, that scene, I just instantly thought of, Goku, trying to beat the addiction. Someone's addiction. It's too good, man. But anyways, I want to talk about this fight between Utena and the magical girls. This is a legitimately great moment that actually gives us a lot more detail to these characters and kind of a little bit more about Utena's fighting style, or who she is as an individual. I think that legitimately this is a great episode to kind of set some undertones for the story, that it isn't necessarily just always going to be these one-sided, events, these battles between the characters, that something needs to budge, there needs to be some stakes at play, and clearly that is what this episode of Gushing Over Magical Girls tries to present, that there is more going on than just the traditional, oh, I'm going to beat you, we're going to have this, BDSM moment, and that's basically it. And because the entire focus at the beginning of this episode, if we're looking at everything that was going on, it was setting the tone up that the magical girls, the good side, they are not feeling fulfilled. They feel like, something is off. They feel like, what they've been going through for these past few episodes isn't necessarily normal. They don't feel like, the actual enemy, for instance, Utena and, Kiwi, are really trying to hurt them. They're just mainly messing with them, and then they run off when they have the upper hand, and it's like, why do this? Obviously, if we look at it from an outside perspective, the concept of this is because it's parodying, the villain of the week formula in a Magical Girl series. That's exactly what it's for. But the other reason is, it's just when you look at the series, maybe that's the extent of the content. The extent of the content is just, seeing the ecchi fan service stuff, and that's all the series really has to provide. And there's no reason for the characters to actually win, because technically you're just winning when they completely do what they do in every single episode, and that's about it. But it seems like the formula in this episode is trying to switch things up, is that it's trying to say that, yeah, the magical girls are aware that the fights don't feel fulfilling, and Utena feels like, there is some more evolution that needs to be had there, because this very fighting sequence here, the way she acts is very different. She basically shows this expression of smiling and happy, she's excited, and obviously we've seen this excitement from her from the previous episodes, but this episode really wanted to hone in on the fact and make it a key point that she was smiling and had some happiness to her, she was enjoying what was going on to a more higher extent than she normally was, is because she was getting some resistance. She was actually fighting back against the magical girls. It wasn't just a one-sided beating. It was literally, for instance, them actually trying to fight back and take them down. It's an interesting sequence of events that kind of hints at more of Utena's character, even though it can be used in a certain way to kind of go more alongside of the certain fetishes that's already been in this series. It definitely is presenting another side that there needs to be an actual even fight, that, the good guys need to win sometimes as well, and I think that's what Utena also likes too. She likes to see her magical girls shine and be very strong. That's exactly the impression I got from the episode. Now, with all that being said, there is something that does need to be talked about, and that is the fact that we had this whole little scene in the middle of the episode where the magical girls, they're trying to do this photo shoot. They're doing a photo op right here and all that, and we get introduced a little bit more to the lore of these magical girls, that there's apparently a bunch of them. Not just these three, but all around the world, there is a bunch of different magical girls that are being kind of like looked after by this certain Cube-like creature, the mascot, and made sure that they're staying in line. The only reason why we haven't seen that creature with these three is because usually they're able to handle themselves, everything is completely fine. But obviously, thanks to the new shift and Utena being now involved, it has made it a lot harder for them to do their normal job. And clearly, there's been a lot more attacks on magical girls. We see that in the newspaper, we see them mention it in the episode, so there is definitely a ramp up of like attacks towards them. Things are getting a lot more dangerous. But in this way, though, we can look at these three magical girls. They are not necessarily in any danger. I don't think Utena or Kiwi is seriously trying to harm them in any degree, because if they would, they could have already have done so, but they haven't. So just looking at everything, I like the world building that this episode presents, that there is more magical girls that Utena will have to eventually face as well. It isn't necessarily her just having to, like, fight these three. There's going to be a bunch more, and I'm curious to see how she would feel about the others. Like, I mean, we've seen Utena care about these three, like, she really is a mega fan, but does she care the same way about the other magical girls? Or will she treat them in a very different way, like a more villainous approach, or lesser, so to speak? There's so many directions that this series can go, and I legitimately enjoy that. I like what the series has been doing thus far, because it's clearly trying to set up some tones and, tones with it that isn't necessarily all about fan service and ecchi content. There is a story kind of taking place here and building up, and I'm really liking Utena's character. Like, she is legitimately a fascinating character, because, like, she has this, locks on her heart, which has already been mentioned quite a few times, that she's kind of hiding her inner personality. Clearly, she's, sadistic, she's a sadist, but there's definitely more to her that's not being shown, that she's still holding back. I feel like when she finally is able to act like her true self while in her normal mode, without being in magical girl mode, so to speak, I feel like that is when she will truly become who she was meant to be, or who she really is, because right now she's restrained and not really being who she really is, and it's more of her finding her freedom of what she wants to do, and we clearly see elements of that also happening at the end of this episode with this fight. But yeah, overall, Gushing Over Magical Girls continues to be a delight. Every single week an episode comes out. I absolutely love this series. It is easily one of my favorite, anime, honestly, from this season. I'm always smiling and enjoying it, and it's not just because of the cultured content that is within this series. It is more than that. There is definitely a story taking place that parodies the magical girl genre and makes it very interesting. I've seen a lot of people that don't care about these type of storylines really enjoying this, actually, for the story and characters. So yeah, I'm honestly looking forward to more of this. I can't wait to see where episode 5 goes. I've been told that episode 5 is going to be like really crazy, like it's going to be some twists and turns or whatever. So we'll have to see where that one goes. But I'll leave it at that. Thank you so much for watching this video. I greatly appreciate it. May all of you have a fantastic day or night wherever you live. Be safe, stay healthy, leave a like if you enjoyed the video. Chibi out.